Hello.
You're about to upload a Madonna Monday, I think you call them, where you are reviewing the Madonna, I don't even know what you
Tears
call it.
of a Clown
Tears of a Clown.
performance.
Unfortunately, which was staged in Australia. I think it is the most humiliating thing that Madonna's practically ever done.
Tim, please don't be cruel. It's a fantastic display of intimacy and humor and poking fun at the fact that she is the most successful selling artist in history. It's her being lighthearted and free.
I grew up with Madonna hitchhiking butt naked down the LA highways.
Which is gorgeous.
You are celebrating Madonna trying to fit herself onto a small tricycle.
Listen, okay, but also having gone through and I'm sure I didn't see it firsthand happen, but having gone through and seen her career, the legacy, having known the legacy and fully like fine-tuned all the little details, it's like, holy shit, this woman is the greatest, most fantastic icon to ever walk this earth, and we are blessed. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not a Madonna fan. We are all blessed to be able to experience
amazing, right? We could have been born at any point in history or born where the icon of all icons, yet you are celebrating Madonna on a tricycle.
I'm celebrating her being lighthearted and having fun, but also sharing very meaningful stories. Have you not seen the whole performance? Did you not watch the whole show?
I have struggled through it part by part back in the day because for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, she had sort of neglected maybe Australia for the longest time, 25 years, girly show, then nothing. So she did a special treat for us, what she alleged to be a special treat for us. I don't know really what that means. She thinks of Australia since she decided to haul that piece of trash out. The pink wig, the ill-fitting clothes.
She was dressed as a clown, and she was
acted like a clown.
She did covers. She made
told
jokes.
Stories.
She told stories.
I know.
And she said it was very intimate. Tim, if I'm correct, there was only like 100 or so people in the venue. It was fucking brilliant.
Madam.
Tim.
How are your channels going? Your Madonna Monday, your Kylie Fridays, your
Kylie Minogue Saturdays, Madonna Monday,
Wednesday afternoons, your matinee shares.
Oh my God, guys! I just like being able to go through and experience pop excellence. And Tim, can I be honest? I'm not only a pop girly right now. As this probably goes up, I'm currently in Long Beach, California, at a metal/alternative rock festival that
You're not going to get something pierced, are you?
Oh my God, maybe my pussy. No, I'm not into piercings. I think.
Why on earth are you going
terrifying.
to a thrash metal, whatever the hell? You know why? Hang on, pause this. I know why you're going, and I haven't even asked you. I have no knowledge of this.
Why am
Somebody's
I going?
paying, aren't they?
No! I bought tickets back in December.
Why on earth would you do that? You're a pop person.
Tim, I'm a pop person, but I also have metal roots. I've always been a metal girly. Metal was always my favorite genre growing up. It was always my favorite thing in the world. But I also loved and excelled and appreciated pop. Madonna, Kesha, Lana Del Rey.
I suppose that little album you made was very thrash, wasn't it?
It was screamo metal alternative for sure. That little single, my song "Burn," it's beautiful. One day I'll officially release it, Tim.
Let's just remind people of this allegedly beautiful track.
Gorgeous track, Tim. Gorgeous track. It's a very gorgeous track, and when you hear the backstory on it, it makes it even more special, I think.
What I love about you is that you don't give up. You're always out there. One job starts, it might come to an end, but you keep getting out there and you slog. This one feels a bit different, though.
This one's really nice. I'm working at one of the casinos here in town. I won't say which one, but I'm working at one of the casinos here in town. My shift starts at 7 a.m. Tim, I have to leave my house at like 5:45.
Well, welcome to the working world, madam.
Oh, it's fucked up,
Yeah, terrible, isn't it? Oh my God, I've only been doing it for 60 years. Well, good luck. So, but why is this job different, madam?
So this one's different because I'm in a totally different field. Normally, I've only ever done like retail. I fucking hate retail. I'm not a retail girly. I don't want to work for some mega $1 million company and have them sell things that they buy for pennies and then upsell for 900%.
And what do you do
resell.
here?
It's gross.
What do you do at the casino?
I'm a host. I'm a hostess. I seat people. I help with I help them check out, check in, all that stuff. I am a little hostess lady.
You told me that on text, and as an Australian guy, maybe there's a cultural difference here, but I'm still confused. So can I just give you a scenario?
You don't know what a hostess is?
Not really, like, except on Wheel of Fortune, I suppose. That's about the best I can come up with.
Tim, that's me. I'm basically the Wheel of Fortune girl.
Let's go through it. I dress myself up in a suit. I go to Vegas. I arrive at your casino. When I walk through the sliding doors,
you stopped at one of the many medical dispensaries, and you had a little edible gummy, okay, and you're high off your ass, and you're smiling.
No, I'm not. I'm
Tim, just a little bit.
No,
just
not
a
even.
Little edible.
I'm not even going to chew on that for half a second. I
Tim,
arrive at your
I'll
casino
it and let you have some. It'd be great.
The sliding doors open. I'm there. What's Madam do when I walk in, if anything?
I greet you, and if you come
really?
and you, yeah, of course.
Let's go through this slowly. So I walk through the door, and in a casino, someone needs to come up and say what? What do you say?
No. So if you come to my area, I'm going to say, "Hi, how are you doing? How's your day going? Or how's your night going?"
And I'd say, "Good. Can you leave me alone, please, bitch?"
No, okay. So I seat people because I really.
Where are you seating me? How do you know where I want to go?
No, Tim. So I work at one of the main restaurant in the casino. Mostly.
Okay. So I haven't gone to the casino. I've gone to the restaurant in the casino.
And you're hungry and you want to have a good time.
Right.
And Madam is here to feed you.
So I go to the restaurant, and there's probably some sort of stupid sign on a metal pole that says "Wait here to be seated."
Nope. It says welcome, and you see my shining face glimmering in the sun.
So you're standing there dressed in a uniform?
Kind of, sort of. I'm in like black dress pants and like a black dress shirt, and I have like the ugliest color overcoat. But thank God I was told that they're changing them soon. As soon as I told the manager, I said, "This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen."
And at that, early morning, you've slicked your hair into place, you've prettied yourself up, you're looking professional. Yeah,
I'm shaking my bouncing breasts, my bouncing boobies. My shirt's tucked in. I really look professional, Tim. Let's be honest. I've never looked more professional in my life.
I've approached. The sign says "Welcome." Your shining face, as you call it, is there, and you say, "Hi, how are you?"
Cob smile.
and then what do you do after I say I'm good, thank you? What do you do?
I'm gonna say how's your day going?
Oh God, you're gonna try and engage me just seat me, bitch.
Well,
all right?
Okay, so I'm gonna say so Tim says, "Seat me, motherfucker. We're not interested in conversation." I'll say, "I'm sorry that you're having a bad day. Would you like a booth or table?"
Now, come on, what do you do next? I'm still standing here. Is this what it's like to be a customer in your care?
Tim, do you want a booth or a table? I can't just choose for you.
I'd like a booth, please, of course. What do I look like, a hobo, bitch?
And I'm going to grab your little menu, and I'm going to grab your forks, and I'm going to say...
It's not that little, thank you very much.
And I'm going to set it on the table, and I'm going to say...
So what, you've walked off to the table, and I'm still standing there? Or what? Am I meant to follow you?
If you don't follow behind me, I'm going to say, "This way, sir."
Okay, perfect. So I'm following you. You've set the menu on the table.
I set your forks.
Squeeze into the booth.
Spoon.
And what do you say to me then?
I'm going to say, "Enjoy. I hope you have a great day." And then
are you going to ask me if I want a drink?
Immediately rewind. I'm not server. I'm not the server. I need to make sure the menus are clean. I need to make sure that when I give the menu, I have to wash them. I also, oh my God, I have to get the salads. I get salads. I get the salad dressing. I make the toast. I butter the toast in the mornings. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot.
So it's a little bit of everything.
A little bit of absolutely.
Do you know what
everything.
I loved about that, madam? I didn't know that, well, I go to a lot of restaurants, and I do worry in some places that they don't wipe those menus down. They're gross.
Oh, because they're so fucking gross. And Tim, not to mention that people are nasty, nasty creatures. Fucking slobbering all over. I can't stand that. So yes, don't worry.
Is yours considered one of the better casinos in Vegas?
Well, I don't know about the best, but
not the best, one of the better ones.
So it's owned by my favorite company, my favorite casino company in Las Vegas. So that made me very happy.
And how many hours do you work typically in a week?
40 a week. 40. I'm full.
So you're on your feet the whole time.
Tim, the confusing part is, oh my God, they told me that I was hired for part-time. And when I asked the manager, didn't you say this is just part-time? She said, yeah, you are just part-time. And I said, oh my God, what the fuck does full-time look like?
And what does it look like?
I don't fucking know, but 40 hours a week is part-time. What the fuck is full-time? I have no idea.
But despite this job that's 40 hours a week, and is it 5 days or?
It's 5 days. Right now I have Friday and Saturday off, which is amazing.
And you're on your feet the whole time. And to be honest with you, it sounds
Tim,
like
in nice dress shoes.
In nice dress shoes and your black professional pants.
My black little professional pantsies.
Yep. So I mean, it's a great atmosphere, a casino. Is that partly why you like it, or is it the people you're working with?
I really like the people that I'm working with, but also realistically I also really like the restaurant. The food is really good, and I just like the atmosphere. I'm not going to say this is like the best paying job I've ever had in my life. It's minimum wage.
How much do you get paid?
Minimum wage.
And what is minimum wage?
$12 an hour. It's bad.
Well, yeah, but the cost of living's less over there, so it's hard for me to compute that.
Oh no, it's not.
So
Tim,
you get $12 an hour times 40. Hey Siri, what's 12 times 40? God, another bitch.
12 times 480.
So you get $480 a week. And how much is your rent?
Rent. Oh my God. Oh my God, Tim. Do you want a sidetrack? My current apartment, the Roach Den. They're trying to evict me.
You are a man who likes to share your life. You posted the eviction notice on your
absolutely.
On your
how do you move someone into an apartment with roaches already?
So this Roach Den, how much is the rent per week?
It's like $900. After you include the fees, it's like $900 a month. Yeah.
So that's $250 a week thereabouts. So, and do you get subsidies?
No.
Okay.
Even being a disabled whore, no, I don't get shit. It's fucking disgusting. This place is hell.
Okay.
But Tim, I am working with an organization that's helping me fight them because they did move me into an apartment with a cockroach taped to the wall in the bathroom. That cockroach is still there. I'm moving out before that beast does. Fuck that. This life's been horrible. They the property manager actually even called me yesterday and she was like, Jeffrey, are you gonna pay rent? And I said, pay rent? You're already trying to evict me. She said, well, yeah, I know, but if you try to pay rent, I could remove the eviction. And all I can think is, girl, I think that's because you're gonna fucking lose. You moved me.
So it was a bluff. Then. It was a bluff.
But it wasn't a bluff because it wasn't a bluff because I already got the court fucking filing. And she wanted me to pay yesterday. I'm like, dude, it is the fucking 23rd. I don't fucking have the rent. You stupid slut.
Yeah. Well, otherwise you would have paid it.
Because Tim, she told me that because they tried to add another $500 month-to-month fee. I'm not paying $500 to live in a fucking $500 extra to live in a fucking Roach Den. And
I've got to say, the unit looks really nice on your channel.
No, Tim, it's small.
It just must be what you've done with it.
No, Tim, it's definitely not what I've done with it. There was a roach taped to the bathroom.
Good bathroom, good kitchen.
Awful bathroom, awful kitchen.
Okay.
I've never used the stove. I don't like cooking in this apartment, and because I also have an eating disorder, because I'm a little slut that wants to be a skinny legend for as long as she lives. I don't really cook. It's really sad.
A lot of people ask.
Tim!
People love it when you come on the podcast, right? Full stop. They love it.
Do their dicks get hard?
People write. There's usually you can separate the comments into two categories generally. I love that guy.
Faggot.
No, I love funny. That guy is mainly what is the biggest one. That's like 90%.
And can I just say, Tim, I want to say to everyone listening, I need you to know that I've been struggling on the internet for a decade. I've been on this fucking existence. I've been doing the internet. It was my only job for most of my adult life. I want to say thank you. If you like me, if I can make you giggle and also smile occasionally, I need you to know I'm so thankful because all I want to do is spread my legs and laugh.
And then the 10%, there's 90% really positive. 10% say things like, Tim, you have the patience of a saint, or along those lines. And there's a little percentage that I want to talk to you about today, which asks some really relevant questions, which is, I can't help but think when I watch your videos, get the privilege of talking to you every now and then, that Madam is
Mentally ill.
A very
Unhinged person.
clever character.
Clever
because there
cock
are
hog.
glimpses, madam. There are glimpses of Jeffrey when I talk to you,
Okay.
which is and just take a sip on something. So let me get this out, otherwise it won't make sense to you. Every now and then I hear a completely different tone of voice,
Ew.
a calmer thought process, and a really reflective, highly sensitive, lovely, compassionate, but intelligent. And the character you've invented, even though very articulate and fun,
Tim, over 10
is
years.
not necessarily known for intelligence, but I have a feeling that you are highly intelligent, right?
Tim, not known for intelligence.
So let's start here, madam. Do you ever talk without the huge character voice? Do you ever just talk
Tim,
in
what a huge
Jeffrey
character
tones?
voice. Jeffrey Tones is the huge character voice. I am one in this
Is
flesh.
this it?
Yes, this is me. Tim, I don't have different personas. I don't put on eyelashes.
So even
I
at
don't
work,
I don't draw purple nipples on my breasts.
even at work, these big statements that you make, which I love.
Okay,
by the way.
okay.
Let's start with that. I love
Tim,
it. But
Tim,
is it a defense mechanism, madam?
Tim, when I'm a working woman, no, I'm not like, oh, you fucking hungry? Maybe I could squat on your food and let you have garnish from my pussy. I'm not this like fucking malignant turd that's just a nuisance to society. I like to put on, it's not put on a show. It's like I like to accentuate and exaggerate my character when I'm filming.
And that's what I'm asking. Like, but do you think that you've been doing this shtick for so long that you have lost sight of who you are?
Tim, no, I love myself because Tim, realistically, I've been doing this for so long, since I was 17. I'm 26. That's almost a fucking decade. I will be 27 in February. Sure. I'm a little obnoxious goon. I'm a little bit of a fucking weirdo. At the same time, I am the same person. I don't need to put lipstick on and fake tits and 27-inch heels to be myself.
How possible is it, madam, for me to have a conversation with you without you feeling what I believe, this is just my thought, without you feeling you need to entertain me?
Tim, I have never been anything other than an entertainer, because Tim, you know why? Because I am authentically myself. I am always, Tim, always the fucking entertainer. I don't have time to listen to this. Oh, we're on camera, let's put our tits away. Or we're off camera, let's put our tits away. I am always that bitch. I am always this goonish, crazy, kooky person. I understand.
But is there another person beneath that, is what I'm asking.
Tim, there isn't. In a relationship, I'm this crazy always. Tim, which is why I'm single, because I don't have an off switch. The off button,
forget the person in the relationship. What about yourself? Is it not tiring, madam?
No, Tim, do you think it's exhausting?
Because
Tim,
you're always
a kooky bitch. Tim, how could you not be? At 18 years old, I had a seizure alone in my apartment and was diagnosed with brain cancer. If I can't make myself laugh, I have no one.
But most people have a fuller palate, though.
Tim, no, my heart's a graveyard. I have had so many relationships end in tragedy. The only relationship that ended because of another cause was the relationship with my cat, who died, Tim, 2,000 and over 100 days ago. I could tell you the exact day, but I did try to stop counting because I don't want to be pathetic. But Tim, it's been 2,105 days. I just looked, so I was 5 days off.
What was your cat's name?
Sky. She was the most beautiful girl in the world.
How old did she live to?
She was, I think, 16.
Yeah.
So
you had her since you were a child?
Yeah, I had her since I was a baby. We grew up together. She was without a doubt, not to sound like creepy or some weird fucking shit, but she was my soulmate, and she was there through all my breakups. She was there for like my sexual assault when I was a teenager, my brain cancer diagnosis when I was 18. So much horrific shit that cat went through with me and stood by my side through. No matter what anyone says, I will never have another relationship like I did with that cat. She was the most beautiful creature that I have ever been blessed to know. And I don't understand this crooked, evil, foul, and disturbed world.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
tell me this. Is there a fear that if you weren't smiling and highly energetic, that depression would get hold of you?
Tim, if I wasn't able, so okay, back to losing my cat. That was my best friend. That was the only creature that I've ever had with me by my side through all the nightmares this life has dealt me. Like I said, sexual assault, brain cancer diagnosis, breakup after breakup after breakup, friendship after friendship after friendship lost. Having that cat was the most beautiful thing in this entire life, and getting to know her and having a beautiful relationship with her. She was my soulmate. She was the most magnificent creature that I have ever been blessed to know. When I lost her, I absolutely went to an insane asylum, or not an insane asylum. Well, it was an insane asylum, a psychiatric facility for an attempt on my life because it was so devastating. Brain cancer couldn't do it. Brain cancer didn't kill me. That gave me a kind of a spark up the ass to fight because I said, oh my God, this world is trying to kill me. I'm not going to fucking die. What the fuck? I have so much shit to do. So having lost my cat, the only thing that I have left, really, it's kind of pathetic to say this, the only thing I have left is myself all day, all night, always in my head. I'm not like talking to myself and like writing things on walls, but I
feel very alone.
I'm so alone. I'm so lost. But Tim, as sad as it is, I have myself, and I understand when I exaggerate and I'm loud or whatever, people think, oh my God, he's totally different off camera. Not true. I'm the same on and off, which is maybe troubling for some people when I try to like get in a relationship where they're like, oh my God, there's no off switch. It never ends. Granted, am I?
Have you done that work, madam? Let's just take a pause. Have you done that work about you said friendship after friendship, relationship after relationship.
Right.
Have you done the work? Is there a theme or a pattern when those relationships come to an end? Is there a common link? A common thread?
Some of them cheaters. Some of them I'm not happy. Some of them they're not happy. Some of them they're realistically again it goes back to the fact that I am just a disabled person. It is sad. I have no sense of time. I have no sense of reality. Tim, for example, I showed up to work today thinking I worked. I was not scheduled today. I spent 2 hours this morning at 5 a.m. going to work when I did not work.
Well, we've all done that. Stupid. At least you were wearing pants.
Oh, not only pants, I was dressed to the nines.
Well,
I was ready to work my pussy off.
Good for you. If I was your boss, I would have said, listen, stick around. We could do with the extra help. Have an extra paycheck.
I fucking wish. Unfortunately, I don't think I was so early.
But let's go back.
I don't think my boss was even there.
I'm really curious, madam. When you're in a relationship, is there silence? Can you sit on the lounge together?
No, I mean,
can you be apart from that
cuddle,
person?
Absolutely cuddle. I'm not a fucking record that never stops. I am unhinged. I am crazy. I am kooky, but I like silence. Realistically, Tim, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I know you might not believe that, but it's true.
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. In fact,
my heart is so big.
Along the same theme, my sense of you is that you are an incredible people pleaser. And I worry sometimes that, like, even when we talk, I do believe that you don't do it just for yourself. I think you were trying to do it for me as well. And I don't need anything more.
I swear it's not.
I don't need anything more from you than just you.
Tim, I've done this for so long. And sure, when I look at old videos, I'm like, oh my fucking God, how obnoxious was I? Old videos, you can see a character. Now, it's not. I'm kind of the point where I'm like, people will fucking watch me. They will experience my content if they want. And Tim, if they don't, I don't care. I am sad. I am troubled. I am devastated. But like I said, I really don't have many friends. I have a few friends. I shouldn't say no friends. I have a very small group of friends that I don't see very often. But when I do, it makes me happy. And I talk to one person pretty much every day. And
yeah. But it's a bummer. And please don't think I'm not suggesting that Madam isn't part of you. I'm wondering if there's
no, Tim, you're not understanding. Madam is me. I am this creature. There is no distinguishable characteristic.
What I'm suggesting is there might be more to you that you haven't found yet.
No. Tim, I've searched and scoured 26 years. There couldn't be.
Mate, you're a lot smarter than you come across. Would you agree
Tim,
with that?
Of course, I'm a lot smarter. Tim, I guarantee you, no one that listens to this podcast would ever think that I was in an honors English class, not honors, a college English class, a college history class, a college government class. Nobody that watches my loud, frantically unhinged mouth would ever think that I was getting degrees or getting degrees, getting credits and of college credits and doing all these honors classes in school. I am a very intelligent person. At the same time, life is so fucking short to get statistics and to get good marks and only care about being an intellectual. I'm smart, I'm intelligent, but I'm also a goofy fuck.
Where are your mum and dad?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Do you have a good relationship with them?
I do, yeah. Tim, I actually just got off the phone with my mom before we started this podcast.
Isn't that great?
My mom's kind of unhinged, and I love her, but she is a little mentally ill.
So, an obvious question to ask, and no criticism, no shade, but when you're struggling when you're struggling as much as you tell us through your wonderful videos, the question that does come to me is
around that word.
I do wonder where are your parents in all of that? Where's the help from your parents in all of that?
My mom has always said, "Why do you keep moving? Why do you keep wanting to move? Why do you keep leaving? I want to be able to be there for you. I want to be able to, but I don't want to live in her house. I don't want to live in my childhood home. I want to, Tim, it is my sole goal. It is my sole goal to be able to entertain as many people as possible. And I cannot do that in the Midwest. I cannot do that in the corn cobs. I cannot do that in a town of less than 1,000 people. I want to get somewhere where I am in the position to
Does your mom ever come to visit you?
Oh God, no. My mom hates planes. My mom can't even get in an elevator without taking a shit.
Okay. And your dad? How good is that relationship?
It's okay. I don't see my dad very often, but we talk frequently. He always sends.
Does he
me,
watch
funny...
your videos?
Oh, I don't think so. But if he did, I'd be okay with that. I don't care.
Would you like him to?
No, I mean, but at the same time, I don't want anyone that couldn't handle an unhinged, mentally ill warlord like myself.
Is your dad your typical masculine?
Oh, big macho, manly. Collecting cars and military lover, all that. Yes.
Do you understand him?
For sure. Yeah, of course. But at the same time, so I have a trans sibling and I'm a big fucking flamer, and my dad has never had any issue with either of those things.
So you have one sibling?
For my dad, I have a sister and a trans sister as well.
So they're half siblings, right?
Yes, yeah.
Are you close to them?
Oh my God, no, Tim. I've not talked to the sister on my dad's side in maybe 17 years.
What happened?
And
there?
even when I did talk to her, it was just like a sentence here and there. She's like 20 years older, so that's why.
But what happened there?
I never spoke to her. I never had the opportunity, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind.
So you didn't grow up in the same house?
No. Oh God, no. No. I was a solo child with my mom. And my brother, her son would like occasionally come over every other weekend.
So sorry, your mum has another son who's a half sibling to you?
And then my mom also has a sister that's a lesbian in Boston.
The half sibling on your mum's side? How old is he?
He is 33.
And did you grow up with him?
I did. He's the one that I'm closest to. He was originally going to come to Vegas next month, and we were going to do casino shit. But he's trying to convince me to go to Ohio, and visit for go to one of the huge amusement parks in Cleveland. It's called Cedar Point. It's very fun. If you're a roller coaster fanatic, you want to go to Cedar Point.
You have family though, which is great, right?
For sure. Some people are really family requiring. I'm not. I'm a ride solo lady for sure. I don't need anybody but myself. One day I'll have a husband that doesn't smell like corn cobs. One day. But until then, Tim, I can be patient.
Have you ever been in love?
Oh, Tim, more times than I can count. Tim, I've been in love more times than I have fingers and toes.
You fall deep? You fall deep?
Oh, I fall hard. But at the same time, I've fallen after my last relationship. This is really kind of pathetic, actually. After my last serious relationship, because I had a relationship after that serious relationship that I jumped into. Mistake, error of judgment. Oh my God. We were together for like 8 months. We had sex, Tim, 5 times.
You lived together?
Oh, it was awful. Yes.
It was the sexless part of the relationship that bothered you?
It was sexless, emotionless. We didn't even kiss, Tim. We fucked more than we kissed, and we fucked 5 times.
So was it sort of a relationship of convenience?
No, it wasn't a relationship. I co-signed on his car that he totaled.
Did
Tim,
you love
and
him?
Doesn't have insurance. Not even a little bit. I didn't even love him even for a third of a moment.
And do you need a relationship to be happy?
No. Oh God, no. Tim, I'm happy now. I'm just hopeless.
What would make you hopeful?
Hopeful, maybe more people watching my videos, maybe being able to entertain people, maybe being able to be a funny fucking unhinged person. And I know somebody said, oh God, he swears so fucking much. Guys, I do swear. I say one syllable words that make my nipples tingle and my face pucker up with a smile. Life is too short. I was diagnosed with cancer at 18 years old, getting ready to survive and jump into adulthood, moving 3,000 miles away from my childhood home and my mother and all my families to a city where I knew no one. When I say fucks and I say shits and I say ass, it's because that's just my vocabulary. Studies already say people that swear are more intellectual, so let's go back to that sentence and that subject. Tim, I am an intellectual
in the comments of your videos, some people say,
God, you're so fucking vulgar, madam.
Well, maybe that too, but they say that you mention your cancer too much.
Tim, it's impacted and destroyed every facet of my functionality. I'm a disabled person.
What were you like before the cancer? Like
the same exact way. But I didn't stutter, and I had a memory, and I didn't show up to work on days I didn't work, and I functioned.
So it's really affected that memory part.
It's destroyed every facet.
How long
of my
ago
existence.
Was your diagnosis?
18. I'm 26 now.
Okay.
January 9th, 2018.
Okay. And then if I was to say what's the ongoing impact, it's memory.
It's memory, it's functionality. I stutter. And when I say memory, it's so fucking bad. I've gotten lost, Tim, walking up and down a straight street. Think about that as a sentence.
So what happens with your memory? Do you literally walk up a street sometimes and go, "Why am I walking up this street?"
Absolutely, no. It's not why am I walking up and down the street. I will literally tell myself something and get distracted by another thought and then forget what I was telling myself. Try to remember what I was telling myself, but then in the process get lost or get confused.
Do you talk to yourself?
In my mind, yes. Aloud, no.
Right.
I'm not unhinged. But yeah, of course I talk to myself. I'm lonely. I'm the only person that I have to see every day. And I look in the mirror and sometimes I sit on it and cry.
Does the stutter bother you?
Oh, so fucking much. It is, oh, what the fuck just came out of my mouth? It does stutter me because I've always been very good at public speaking. My videos, they were always just so good at me because I'm a writer. So me being able to speak is something I find really, I hold dear importance to. And because I'm funny, but I'm not funny when I'm going, it's fucking gross and I can't stand it. I'm like, why are you doing this? You know what you're trying to say, you stupid slut? It's so goofy and it drives me absolutely insane. And there's no one more frustrated by it than myself. I'm like, what is happening? And I cut so much of it out of my videos because I'm like, this is so embarrassing.
You mentioned that you're a disabled person often. Is that by definition, like by the law?
Definition, by the government, I get a disability check every month. And it's very tiny because it's my fault that I got diagnosed with cancer at 18 years old.
Why did you make the decision to go into porn?
Porn? Oh my God, it wasn't a decision. It was more or less like I've been on the internet for so long and people have always asked me, why are you not doing porn? Like we want to see that dick. We want to see that butthole. And sure, have I been like, I've got a big dick and Tim, I have a great butthole.
Yeah, thank you. But so far you've given me the reason why others wanted you to go into porn and you haven't answered the question, why did you
So for
decide?
me, I'm a very sexual being. Sure, I'm not like fucking 18 people a week. I actually, Tim, it's just me being a slut. It's not me even having sexual encounters with people. I wanted to go into porn because I think this world is so gross and how it shuns its shoulder
No.
and closes its eye to the fact that human beings are alive because somebody fucked. Someone busted a load in a vagina.
Is going into porn a way of seizing attention?
Tim, I absolutely wanted attention. Tim, when I was going through my cancer treatment and I was bald because I've had 7 brain surgeries, someone made a little GIF of me. I don't know what the fuck the photo was from, but it was a little video clip I'm gonna send you the GIF so you can put it in the video podcast or whatever. It's a photo of. It's so funny. It's a photo of me doing. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but it says that I'm an attention whore because I mentioned that I have cancer. Like, bitch, I'm sorry that I'm alive and still dealing with the struggles of being diagnosed with cancer, and I talk about it. Like, what do you fucking want me to do? Say, oh, it's in the past. It's not. I'm still living with it. I am an attention whore because I bring that up, and I think it bothers people because I can bring it up casually. They're like, oh my God, why aren't you crying about it? Because they know someone that passed away from cancer. They're like, how could you not be more sobbing while you say it? Because it's been fucking 8 years. So I'm not sobbing because I've just accepted it and I deal with the struggles and the disabilities and the backsets that I have. And I function the best I fucking can to be an entertaining piece of shit.
Your doctors have given you a really healthy prognosis. Do you worry about cancer returning?
So when I received my radiation, they never told me that just receiving radiation puts you at risk for more cancer developing in your body. They never told me that. I was never informed of that. And I received it every single day for like 6 to 7 weeks. It was a fucking nightmare. It's the reason I stutter. It's the reason I have no clue of whatever is going on. It's the main reason for my disabilities. My tumor, sure, is shitty. But the treatment I received is what fucked me up.
So sorry, are you saying that you didn't need the radiation?
So my doctors in Vegas said they would not have given it to me. They would have watched it. If any progression happened, then it would have been radiation and chemo. But my doctor in Vegas said I just would have done chemo here. The Cleveland Clinic wanted to do chemo and radiation, probably so they could get a bigger check. And unfortunately, that's the reason I'm disabled, because of the radiation. Even though chemo almost killed me, it dropped my blood platelets down to 1,000. Tim, they're supposed to be like 40 something thousand. They told me it was so low that if I had to get an emergency blood transfusion, all these things. They told me it was so low that if I had gingivitis, I would have bled to death.
Are they telling you that the cancer is unlikely to return though?
My doctor and me, I asked my doctor this question on my last MRI visit. I never uploaded the video because, like I said, nobody wants to feel sorry for a stupid slut like me that's disabled and struggling with cancer. So I don't like talking about it, but at the same time, it comes up often because it's impacted every facet of my life. But I didn't upload that video. I will maybe one day. But I asked my doctor. I asked my doctor, and I was filming when I asked him. I said, I was like, honestly, doctor, I won't say my doctor's name, but doctor, I think my tumor is dead. What do you think? And so I agree. I think that as well.
What are your goals from here to the end of the year? Would you say your short-term goals? Do you hope this job leads to other things, or are you just happy being in this role at the moment and enjoying it?
So, Tim, from here to the end of the year, I hope that I'm able to get out of this roach den, because if not, I'll be homeless on the streets, having to feed myself with bits of food that I steal from local 7-Elevens. But also, Tim, I hope that I'm able to just get my shit together and get back to entertaining people, get back to a more set schedule, reach more people, have more people be able to interact with my content. I want to be able to make people laugh. And Tim, I want to be able to smile through the fuckery. Tim, do you not want to smile through the fuckery? Smile through the fuckery and
exactly.
laugh at this life. That's all we can do, Tim.
Nice talking to you, madam.
He's also a fox, if you haven't noticed. My husband's very, very handsome, but his heart is even more beautiful.
I love that your eyes are sparkling right now.
Oh.
We're setting ourselves the challenge of challenges here, where we're going to try to go through all of Kylie's eras. God knows if we'll get through them all. Really briefly, with an interesting question for us both, which is, how was Kylie perceived during that time? Perceived. So, what do we mean by that? Let's set some criteria. And by the way, hello, Leah.
How are you, Tim?
Perceived by her fan community, perceived by the general public. That's what we're going to try and do. It's an interesting conversation. I don't know how it will go, but we're both OGs, so we should be able to put our mind to it, I've got to say. Are you up for the challenge, Leah?
I'm up for the challenge. Now, when you say eras, we're talking albums or 80s, 90s?
I reckon we'll go albums.
They're cool.
Yeah. And for the people listening, now you know how unprepared we are. Because we didn't even, we've done no, and that's the good thing, Leo. It's a good thing. We want to have a spontaneous conversation. The first album, Leo, Kylie, by this stage, by the time she releases this album, in Australia, she's had a surprise hit with The Locomotion. It surprised her. It surprised the public. It was mega, though. It was 6 weeks, possibly 7 weeks at number 1 in the charts. It would get people thumping onto the dance floor. But then she goes over to the UK and teams up with Stock Aitken and Waterman and releases this first album. What are your recollections? How was she perceived by her fans and by the general public at this stage when she released that first solo album?
I had to say, Tim, at this stage, I was living in Auckland in New Zealand. So I guess from the first album until probably Light Years, my thoughts would be on, I guess, the New Zealand fans and the New Zealand public. We never got Neighbours, so we had no idea of Neighbours, of Charlene. Obviously, if you read all the pop magazines, you would know that Kylie was on Neighbours, but we never got Neighbours until much later. So when she released Locomotion and it reached its peak of number 8 in November 1987. So it pretty much charted in the top 10 on the basis of Kylie the singer, not Kylie from Neighbours. Do you know what I mean?
The perception in the general public is that this is a new singer.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, we knew that she was on Neighbours, but we didn't get Neighbours at the time. So, you know, Locomotion
didn't get the hysteria.
So that was quite an achievement for a new artist to have, and it stayed in the chart for I think 14 weeks or something. So it was a pretty decent hit.
Everywhere she went. So it doesn't matter what territory, it was a big hit. She was seen as something new, something fresh, something relatable. A real girl next door was the terminology used at the time, and very, very rightly so, whether people had seen Neighbours or not. She just seemed like a really, really nice person and exciting. Exciting being the word in the fan community. In the general public, though, the beginning of that period of mockery really did kick in. I feel like it was more lighthearted than maybe she or her team took it, and her fans. She was just so huge that's what happens to huge public figures. They're made parodies of, and people lay the boot in. But certainly this era when the album was released was the beginning of, she can't sing, that's not really her voice. And it was all tied up, Leo, with Stock Aitken and Waterman too, already having the reputation for putting too much magic dust all over the tracks so that really the person was almost not there. Talk about AI these days. People were accusing them of completely and utterly removing the person and their talent from the track and just putting basically auto-tune all over it. So it was interesting, the perception at this time. My point of view, Kylie, the first era, was huge hysteria and excitement from those people who were smart enough to see who she was. But yeah, mockery, ridicule from the industry and from the mainstream media, which is a bit sad, a complete contradiction.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't get that quite as bad in New Zealand at the time, because Aside from the fact that most radio never played Kylie, and very rarely heard her songs on the radio, apart from the top 88 or something that in the night sort of shows. But her clips are always played on TV. We had two main, I guess, pop magazines called Shake Magazine and RTR Countdown. Both were monthly, and she was all over those magazines. I mean, coming into 1988, she was all over those pop magazines. There was coupons in the magazines to buy Kylie books and that type of thing. So she was really, really big. Aisha Be Lucky reached number 3, Got to Be Certain number 2, Je ne sais pas pourquoi number 9, and Especially for You number 2. So that whole first era, Kylie was massive in New Zealand. So, but I think the next album, things changed a bit.
Enjoy Yourself for me as a fan, I already saw this tension. Excuse the reference there. I already saw it. She was already hit hard by the credibility and wanting credibility, yet she was very much in the machine. Hand on your heart. I've since heard that she was very uncomfortable making that video with the bright colors, and she was very much styled, told what to do in that video clip specifically. And the sound, of course, was very much Stock Aitken and Waterman. Didn't change too much from album 1 to 2. She was excited to be doing some 60s she-bop type deal. I remember before the album came out, she was excited about Telltale Signs, Tears on My Pillow. She was excited about those. So she felt she'd taken a step. Very, very popular, more popular than ever with the fans. We were really taking to her. We were knitting ourselves to her already by that stage. We were right on her side. But this was the Delinquents era as well. So there's that tension I'm talking about. She's trying to shake from the shackles of where she was. Michael Hutchence came on the scene during this era. But in the general public, this was a tough time for Kylie. Really tough, because those accusations, you can't sing, can't act, you're manufactured, you're a product. It was at its height. It was the volume was very high on Kylie, having little to no credibility here at this stage. What was it like from your perspective?
Well, coming from, I guess, the first album, which reached number 1 in New Zealand, actually, so better than the number 2 in Australia. So that was a massive album. With Enjoy Yourself, that reached number 6. So it was still reached the top 10, but all the singles from it didn't go top 10. I think Hand on Your Heart, number 15, Wouldn't Change a Thing, 21, Never Too Late, 27, and Tears on My Pillow, 33. So I guess from the New Zealand point of view, even I guess the fan base and probably the public as well, people are starting to wane a bit with Kylie. She was still popular, but I think some people were sort of moving on. And the thing is, with New Zealand, I know it sounds quite crazy, but it's a small country, but people do really value an artist that takes its time to sort of come down and do promotion, do concerts and stuff. Kylie never did that. I remember in the 80s, there were bands like U2 and UB40, and they were really popular in New Zealand from the very start because they came down to New Zealand for promotion and concerts and stuff, and that really solidified, I guess, their fan base and going forward.
But this is more evidence that she was a product at that time. I mean, look, all entertainers are a product to an extent, but particularly then, her team were focusing on those territories where the money was. Kylie didn't get a say in where she went. She was told, Japan, Asia, you're really big there, hop on a plane, let's get some promotion there. UK, Europe, Australia, your home base. We actually got fairly ignored too, by the way, and that would explain New Zealand being ignored, because you say it's a short trip, but she wasn't promoting very much in Australia either. She'd do the odd, hey, it's Saturday. The other thing I very much recall about the Enjoy Yourself era was this was the era for people in their teens and many of you out there, many of you listening, where you would not admit that you liked Kylie Minogue. Because you risked, in my case, depending on the school you went to, the severity differed, but you could be bashed, literally. And I was once when I went and bought at a bus stop when I bought Wouldn't Change a Thing. I remember it being in my bag, trying to get home to listen to it, and some group of teenagers wanting to know what was in the bag, and they found it and absolutely crucified me for it and bashed me at the same time. So that was fun. Horrible memory, Leo, but that's, had a lot to do with obviously me and the neighborhood I grew up in. But yeah, Kylie did not help, and you certainly wouldn't go to school and say, I'm a Kylie fan. You absolutely wouldn't do it. What do you think, listeners, if you were there? Was that your experience too?
I can relate.
We're keeping this short and sharp.
I can so relate to that because I think the first album, there was a lot of people that liked Kylie, but then it sort of shifted a bit. And then it was like, oh, you like Kylie, and I go, oh, okay. People did move pretty quickly on from Kylie. It was very strange how quickly it sort of shifted. And getting into the next era with Rhythm of Love, that was even more evident. Even though personally I loved the album and I loved how she moved on musically. She sounded great, but it was just a continual, the charts were very not great. The album reached number 36 in New Zealand. Better the Devil You Know, number 27. Step Back in Time, 21. And Step Back in Time would have been the last single to chart until Confide in Me. So it was a very coming to an end type of era with Rhythm of Love, but you could still get Kylie in the shops. Her album was in the record stores and things. You could still buy her singles and stuff, but as far as a CD single goes, it was pretty much one or two copies filed under M, but a few more singles, but that's really about it. And of course, no radio play. She wasn't featured as much in the music magazines here in New Zealand. So the tide had definitely turned, and it wasn't a great time to be a Kylie fan in New Zealand at the time.
Yeah, and for those new Kylie fans who've come on, and I still class you Fever guys as new Kylie fans, by the way, but anywhere onwards, this might strike you as extraordinary. But as Leo's saying, Rhythm of Love era was absolutely strange for a Kylie fan because there'd never been a better time to be a Kylie fan. The image, the music, it was keeping up with our age at the time. She was clearly behind the scenes shaking the cage to get a more mature sound, a more modern contemporary sound, like what was of the moment at the time. And a lot of those Rhythm of Love tracks really do represent a flavour of the sound at that point. Yet it was extraordinary for me. I'm thinking she's never had better music than this. It was so good. Yet the chart positions didn't reflect it. So all of you guys who have gone back in the back catalogue and went, oh, Better the Devil, and shocked, what do I have to do? They must have been huge. They did reasonably well, but nothing by the comparison of the first album, second album, which is, when you think about it, the music was much more developed by then, and she was as well. So it's kind of extraordinary. In the industry, though, I think she did claw back some credibility here. She was determined to do it. I did hear critics talking. I read lots of reviews of each single as it came up, and the album got good reviews. Stock Aitken and Waterman even got credit for progressing their sound, which they were not known for. Believe it or not, Rhythm of Love was seen as a progression in their work, and they were famous for refusing to budge on that. So yeah, Rhythm of Love, it's a contradiction, Leo. As you know, the fan community looked back on this era with great joy and a great turning point, and it was. But if you lived it, didn't reflect.
I remember buying the 12-inch of Better the Devil You Know from my local record store. And when I took it home, there was a skip, I think, in the start of it. And I had to turn it I think 2 times. I had to return it because it kept skipping. This is back in the day we
Oh.
had vinyl and stuff. So, so I remember that quite clearly that I had to return that single a couple of times. And I remember remember seeing What Do I Have to Do on CD single in the city in Auckland. And it was like $10. And back then, that was expensive for a single. When you walked into a music store and you saw, there's a new Kylie, I felt really excited, you know. I was like, oh my God, new Kylie.
Yeah.
So I got my single, and if there was a city single, I'd get that as well. But there was no sort of warning. Like, I wouldn't go into the city and say, okay, well, the Kylie thing was out this week, I'm going to get it. I had no idea.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and the lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
We move into Let's Get To It era, and by this stage, Kylie was treating the media very differently. She had started that in the Rhythm of Love era. Very aloof, I would call her, during Rhythm of Love era. Very wary, aloof, almost didn't care to an extent, would sort of run her finger through her hair as she spoke and thought there was a look on her face like I've heard these questions 1,000 times. And with Let's Get To It, that progressed. How was she perceived in the fan community? Well, to me, again, I'm only giving you my perception, my friends. It felt like the fan community really shrunk around this time. It felt like we were some of the last men standing, and I say men deliberately because it's mainly guys, for all of it. I understand in England, if you were with me now, sort of was a bit of a Christmas single or a bit of a hidden gem. It wasn't here in Australia. But generally, the perception in the fan community here was, yeah, this is a good album. I like it. We loved the cover of the album. We loved the attitude, and we loved the push-up bra of "Give Me Just a Little More Time." But it just felt like we were very much a dwindling community. That's how it felt to me. But I still love the work. And never have I thought, oh, I don't like the direction she's taking. I loved it. I thought it was a great direction. Loved the album. It felt like a small album. Maybe that's because of the perception that there was a dwindling community. And then generally, in the general public, people like to say she was heavily criticized for Word Is Out and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you could argue maybe she was, but generally it was more scary than that. It was apathy. Most people just didn't even know that she had singles coming through, if I'm going to be honest. That's the way it felt here. I would have preferred that people were like, oh, that song sucks. Oh, look, she's trying to be a prostitute, as if. There's lots made of that by people like Pete Waterman, but generally I think the public just had turned off around this era. I don't know how the chart positions were, Leo. Probably not great.
Yeah, this era for me in little old New Zealand was pretty much non-existent. I'll be really honest. It was just nothing sort of charted. It was just nothing happened. So, but from a personal point of view, I actually really loved this era. I really loved this album. I loved those awesome B-sides we got, Do You Dare and Closer. I really loved that whole sort of dance period that she was sort of like experimenting and stuff. So I really loved those elements of this era, those little B-sides and those little gems that you got on the single. Love that. And she was starting to write her own lyrics. I mean, she did start with Rhythm of Love, but I think this album with Mark Stock, she began, I guess, to maybe the first time in her career that it was more collaborative than Rhythm of Love. But she got to sit down with Mark Stock, and I think she was a bit more involved with the music and I guess the writing, the direction, the artwork. So this was another step forward with her career and her artistry, but I guess to the general public, it was a pretty much non-existent era. I guess you were.
But it's sort of like when a souffle is baking in the oven, right? So none of us, a lot of people didn't know it was in there. But my God, she was taking strides during Rhythm of Love and Let's Get to It. As you say, I would agree. She'd seized control almost entirely of the image side of it, but not with the music. And I think it was Waterman who said he felt remarkably awkward sitting next to Kylie in the studio trying to produce that album together. Tell me if I'm wrong, folks.
That
That's
was my
my
stock.
recollection. Art Stock,
Mhm.
sorry, yeah, saying that he just felt it felt wrong, but there was a lot going on. So even though it was a very quiet period, and remembering when you're living through it, you don't know if this is the end because there was a headline in a magazine. It might have been Who that said, "Is Kylie Minogue finished?" It literally said that because of the dizzying heights and because she had not had a song in the top. I think that was still in the top 20 in Australia and the UK, but for Kylie's, it just sort of seemed to mark a bit of a decline. But let's segue into the next era. And I know, fans, you're going to talk about the greatest hits, the first greatest hits era. Yeah, sure, that was an era, but let's tie it into Kylie 94 as well, Leo. I'm going to let you go first with this. What was going on? What does this era represent to the fans and the general public?
This was a shift, definitely, because for the first time since Step Back in Time, Kylie had a charting single. With Confide in Me, at that time in the 90s, in the sort of mid-90s, we had a music channel in Auckland called Max TV. And it was like a free music channel. Everyone, all the kids used to watch it. They played the video for Confide in Me all the time. And I didn't really hear the song much on radio, but I did hear the dance mix on I think it was My FM, which is like an urban station, but they did like the top 40 each week. And because Kai charted in at number 12 with Confide in Me, they had to play the track, but they played the dance mix of it, which was really cool. So, and even down to the general public, my best friend Adrian, who wasn't really a Kylie fan at all, absolutely loved Confide in Me, and she bought the CD single of it. And I think this era, I think it really changed people's perception of who Kylie was. She was, trying something new. And when I first heard Confide in Me, I just thought, God, this song's incredible. The production, the vocals. And I remember reading an article, I think it was an NW magazine, and it said that this song is a song that Madonna would kill for. And they were bang on because this song was incredible. And I think Madonna probably at the time wished she had a song like Confide in Me. But yeah, this era was a really, I guess, a turning point for Kylie. Even though the album didn't chart in the top 50, the Confide in Me single went in at number 12. So that was definitely, things were definitely starting to shift. And people were thinking, oh, Kylie, gosh, she's cool.
Absolutely. Confide in Me and the era are two separate entities to me. Confide in Me in itself, people were so shocked by it that many people were in disbelief that it was her or just refused. Many people. I heard people in the industry saying that's not her voice. For the high notes I'm talking about in Confide in Me. But this era, I'll start with the general public. It did absolutely mark a shift. First of all, it showed that she was a very courageous person, but there was also cynicism. Oh, she's trying to go for a mature sound. I read that in quite a few of the credible magazines at the time, the music magazines, a little bit, just a tone of cynicism about it. I wonder what she's trying to do here. I wonder exactly what she's trying to do. The album itself, like you say, wasn't a huge success in terms of sales, but in terms of what it did, marking that Kylie is adventurous, she's willing to take extraordinary leaps of faith musically. It was there, but I would still say general public, mildly cynical at least, but starting to shift around. The fans, let's talk about how the fans received Kylie 94. Well, it was an exciting time. Like I say, Confide in Me is almost separate to the album, but it just look. I do remember to be really real about it. I remember a lot of fans sort of very much finding it hard to adjust to that sound because it was absolutely not the spectacular pop we were used to at all. So I remember quite a few fans going, "Wow, this is," because it was very sophisticated. The sound actually very British too. The sound of the album. For me, though, I took a long time to adjust to it. I played it many times, that white CD, and just kept thanking her, Leo, to be honest, thanking her for introducing me to a new sound. Might not sound like a new sound now when people listen to it, but at the time, for a boy who was pure pop, all of a sudden I felt like I was being introduced into, it's something you might play at the launch of a Vogue magazine event or something like that. It just had this calm, mellow, chilled out vibe about the whole thing, and so did all the additional tracks that came with it. And her voice, we cannot talk about this era without going, this is the time where all the layers were stripped back, and for the fan community, we got to finally have on a record what we already knew to be true. Kylie can sing.
Oh, totally.
And by the way, Leo, we really haven't we haven't referred to it very often, but all those eras beforehand, the criticism of Kylie can't sing, persistent. By the way, it still persists to this day. There's not a person I have on the show to talk about the Tension Tour who doesn't go, how do people say she can't sing? So clearly it's a persistent, stubborn piece of information. But during 94, this era, the fans were like, see, told ya.
This isn't Madonna, and I love listening to Time to Talk.
Yeah, and what I do have a correction here. The album did reach number 37 in New Zealand, so it did chart, but it didn't reach the top 20. But when I first heard this album, I played it and I thought, God, she sounds amazing vocally. She's really worked hard in her voice. And I remember songs like Surrender and Dangerous Game is always one of my favorites. I adore that track. And the work she done with Brothers in Rhythm, Steve Anderson and Dave Seaman, incredible. I think this was the perfect time for her to work with those guys and create that really great friendship musically, because going forward, they would do some incredible work. And even today, Steve is with Kylie doing her tour arrangements and things. So that was the start of that relationship, even though they did remix Fine Feelings. But I think with this album, it was definitely a start of a really good relationship with Brothers in Rhythm.
You're listening to Time to Talk, and you can send us your thoughts, my friends. Time to Talk Australia at outlook.com. Would love to hear your voice memos and receive your mail. Leo and I are talking about the general perception of Kylie from her fans and the broader community during each era. We're going up to era 10 today. That might be news to you, by the way, Leo. So we'll go up to the X album, and then we'll have a part 2, because there's so much to talk about. Although we are trying to be a little bit short and snappy about it, you might have noticed. We move into, I don't know, controversial? Is it the right word? Not sure. Impossible Princess. We waited a long time for this album. The people around will know what I mean. What's she doing? Rumours of this experimental. Bjork is all I kept hearing, Leo, before this came out. Bjork, Bjork, Bjork. So, Impossible Princess. How did it land with the fans? How was she perceived by the general community? I might kick us off. Impossible Princess for the fans. Look, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Does that surprise you? I believe many of the Kylie fans wanted to celebrate this as a pinnacle of her career, But there was a silent majority at the time, and I was on those forums, so I know what I'm talking about, who were saying, yeah, it's great. We're really excited she did this, and it's absolutely a great album. But we're starting to really despair about the loss of pop, because pop hadn't really been around since Celebration, so the greatest hits era. We hadn't really heard a pop song. Heard a few that sounded like it, like the final track of 94, for example. What was that? Time Will Pass You By. So, for those of us who loved Kylie for pop, Impossible Princess, yep, I was on for the ride. I hated the first single, I must admit. That's just me. But the general fan community, I believe she picked up a lot of new fans, but I believe a lot of fans were forcing themselves to say it was a great piece of work. But I think they were like me, finding it hard to adjust. Bit controversial. Lots of people saying, nah, Tim, that's not how I felt. I know. General public, Leo, for me was good on her, basically. I remember her being on Hey Hey It's Saturday with Some Kind of Bliss, and the second single did it again as well. So I think the public were really backing Kylie, but in the general public, I don't think this music resonated either in terms of popularity. I don't know. I think it moved her ahead in terms of credibility, though. That's my view. And particularly in the industry, Leo, she was hats off. And don't forget, we had Where the Wild Roses Grow around here as well.
Yeah, so at the time I was still in New Zealand. So you mentioned the duet with Nick Cave, Where the Wild Roses Grow. That reached number 11 in New Zealand. And I guess that was a turning point. That was released before Impossible Princess and after Confide in Me.
Yeah, well before.
So that did really well. And again, the video was played all the time on TV. And I remember one of my relatives who's a huge Nick Cave fan, Marvin, she loved Nick Cave, and even she was shocked that he did a duet with Kylie. But even she said, "I know it's an amazing song, an amazing video," and she's not a Kylie fan at all. And so that song again, I think, reinforced that God, she's taking some real risks here, and she's developing as an artist. So when we got Impossible Princess, this was a really special time for me because this was the first time that she'd been to New Zealand. And if you listen to my podcast, Sound Museum, I did a whole episode on meeting Kylie at the airport when she arrived. And me and my friend Luke got to meet her, and she signed stuff and you got photos taken. That was an amazing experience for me, meeting this incredible woman that I've admired so much. So that was, for me, a huge plus in that era. And, you mentioned that word forced before, and I think you pretty much nailed it, because I think for a lot of us, this was new Kylie music, but it's not what we expected. So I guess maybe to some degree we did force ourselves to like it. Like, there's certain songs on the album which I loved and some I don't really like. But when I was in the UK in 1998, that's when I picked up the Did It Again singles and the Breathe singles. And then she released the Mixes compilation, and I got that on CD. And I remember going into the music store in, I think it was in Ireland, actually. I'm not sure where it was. But they had because it was a big pink cover in the UK for the Mixes. And I saw that on vinyl. I thought, I'd love to get that on vinyl because it looks amazing. But because I was sort of backpacking, I couldn't really carry a vinyl around with me. So I just got the CD. But had I got the vinyl, that would have been amazing back in the day. But yeah, I think this era for me was looking back now with, I guess, more mature ears, this was a real, Kylie putting it out there, her own lyrics. She was really honest and vulnerable, and it was an incredible album in that respect. But it's not one of my favorite albums, if I'm really honest, because I like the pop Kylie, but I can appreciate this body of work and lyrically how strong it was, and it was really personal. And I'm really pleased that she gave us this album, because it enabled her to move forward, but move forward in a way where she realized that by moving forward and trying to get the critical acclaim, at the end of the day, people just love her pop music. Like, I think even Nick Cave said, "Where's the pop songs?" So I think by doing this album, she almost got it out of her system, but realized, hey, God, who am I trying to kid here? I'm a pop artist. My fans love pop. I love pop dance music. Let's go back to that and let's celebrate that. And that's what we got with the next album.
Yeah, and look, it's a totally different podcast if we want to talk about what she learnt during this period and what it meant for her as an artist. That's a whole different story. But in terms of how it landed with the fan community, which is what we're talking about, and the general public, you know, that's the conversation we're having. I totally respect that without Impossible Princess, we might not have Kylie or the longevity of Kylie, because she really started to understand songwriting, respect a great pop song in a completely different way. Light years, Leo.
Oh,
how did it land with the fan community and the general public?
Can I start with this one?
Please do.
This period, I was still in Auckland, in New Zealand, but I was moving to Australia later in the year, in November 2000. So me and my friend Simon, who also lived in Auckland, we first heard about there's going to be a new Kylie album, and the first single was called Spinning Around, and we hadn't heard the track at all. And just hearing the title, I was like, oh, she's back. She's back. When I first heard the track, I thought, God, we're going to have to get Kylie back on the charts. And I think back then the Say Hey forum was really, I think, instrumental of doing that, because I remember at the time on the forum, there were people used to post links about how you can request a song on radio in all the different countries and things. So there was a New Zealand list, and people would vote for the song. And I remember More FM in Auckland, the night show, Andrew was the DJ. He started playing it because people were requesting it. And then I was like, guys, it was played on Auckland radio, keep requesting it. And then I think that went on for a week or so. And then I think no one voted. Well, hardly any votes came through from the forum a particular day. So it doesn't matter, because people are voting for it anyway. So we had almost got the ball rolling, so to speak, as far as getting Spinning Around on radio. And it worked, because she was number one for a couple of weeks, and that led to, you know, the song being played on radio all the time. The other big network at the time, ZM, got on board well after More FM got on board. So they had no choice but to play it, because it was just really popular on radio. The song reached number 2 in the New Zealand charts, Kylie's first top 10 since Especially For You. So she was back in a massive way, and going from having no Kylie on our charts in New Zealand to having Kylie charting at number 2, number 1 on the radio charts, by the way, I must say. And also the clip was on TV. It was everywhere. I used to go into my car and turn the radio on. It was always on radio all the time. So that was this era. This era was an amazing time to be a Kylie fan in New Zealand because she was back and people were loving Kylie all over again. The song was played in the nightclubs, and I think the whole 70s vibe people really loved. And just to hear Kylie on the radio again after so many years was amazing. It was just incredible.
Yeah, and look, I will always, forevermore, and I believe I'm 100% right, that won't surprise you, that this is absolutely the album and the era where Kylie was a fully baked pop star. So it was a fantastic, exciting journey for a fan to be there every step of the way before this, watching her evolve, watching her shake the shackles, fight for independence, get the independence, learn her craft for a couple of albums. But here, when you think of all the performances, the Olympic Games, the On a Night Like This tour, everything she did around this era was proof that she had emerged like a butterfly. Again, very deliberate reference there, but she truly had. She emerged like a butterfly. There was no more. Is she the real deal? It doesn't matter if we're talking about the fan community or the general public. There was no doubt. She was so embraced in Australia. Again, the spirit of the Olympic Games, wrapping and embracing her and everything Australian, and she is so goddamn Australian. In the fan community, it was absolute evidence that we had been throbbing for a return to pop, because we latched hold of this like nothing else. But how couldn't you? Because the album was absolute sheer disco pop perfection. It was brilliant. But I will always remember Light Years as the time where, okay, if there was ever, because it might be hard for people to understand, but the world of pop is fickle. And as a fan, you always wondered, I wonder if she will just fade into oblivion at some stage, especially even though I loved Kylie Minogue 94, Impossible Princess. Can she really keep this up? But with Light Years, I knew she's here forever now. It was 100% proof that she's a fully fledged pop star. Amazing era,
and
Leo.
At the
Amazing.
time in New Zealand, Robbie Williams was huge, and Kids did really well in New Zealand, number 5 on the charts. Light Years reached number 8. So this was the start of, I guess, getting Kylie back on track, so to speak. And this was just like a really good, firm stepping stone to what was to come.
And if we don't mind saying too, like the universe looked after her as well, because pop in the year 2000 was huge, and it hadn't been for a few years before. The 90s were not favourable to pop, at least for latter part of the 90s. So she just had the right sound right at the right time as well, showing everyone how it's done because of all of those years beforehand. Fever. Look.
Oh my goodness.
There's really not much to say here, because this is where most of the people who listen to this podcast go, I know everything from this point forward. I know you do. I know you do. Fever, look, what can you say? In terms of the general public and the fan community, pretty much the same, except the only difference being that in the fan community, we were so proud. We told you so. We told you so. We told you so. That this was our girl. She is the mega pop star. In the general public, though, she was just discovered. Let's be really honest. It might be hard for us OGs to say that, but in some territories around the world that might have known her a little bit for locomotion, if at all, they were like, who is this Kylie? She was recognized by the Beyoncés of the time. She was recognized, she was a peer of any mega pop star in the world by this stage. Or considered, an equivalent in any territory around the world. Seen as a leader. There was that horrible incident with the Taliban saying that she represented everything wrong in Western culture because she was extremely sexy and possibly sexual during this era. Some of the imagery showed that, she was a female who wasn't afraid to, share her body with the world as well. Very short dresses, even she says, looking back, oh my God, I can't believe I wore that. which, by the way, her response to that, she recognised at the time, comes during the body language era. But there's not much to say about Fever in terms of the perception by the fan community and the public, because we generally all know what it was. It was super positive, super classy. She was considered a super class act and a jewel in the crown of the pop world.
This area here, all the stars aligned, and when that happens, magic can happen. And it was just perfect timing, perfect sound. Everything just fell into place. Everything was almost like it was easy, but it wasn't, because this era is just so magical. At the time, I was living in Australia, in Melbourne here. So I was an Aussie, well, living in Australia. But over in New Zealand, where I just moved from, this was the second most successful era of her career. The album reached number 3 in New Zealand. This Can't Get You Out of My Head reached number 1, her first number 1 in New Zealand, and all the other singles reached the top 20. So it was a really successful era. Even in Australia, number 1 album. The first 2 singles was number 1 in Australia. The second 2 were top 5. So it was a really successful era for Kylie. She was just on fire at this stage. And I remember going to, I think, an in-store signing in HMV in Paran, a midnight signing, a midnight opening. And there were so many fans there, and just getting, the album for the first time and just hearing it. And this was the time where they would release different B-sides in different territories. So the good old H&V in Melbourne, they used to import the UK city singles. So I used to go in and spend my $15 per single to get those UK imports. And it was just such a magical time. It was, you could go into a music store and just get something physical. And there was the DVD single as well, which was the first in Australia. And just the whole tour and just that whole time, and that gorgeous packaging for the DVD release, that silver, was just incredible. And this period was just an amazing, incredible time to be a Kylie fan, and you felt so proud, and you're just shut from rooftops. I'm a Kylie fan, she's the queen. And yeah, everyone just loved her.
I'm glad you reminded us of that. Yeah, not only I said we told you so, we told you so. Well, that was because it absolutely was okay to be a Kylie fan during, light years, Fever. Absolutely, it was okay. You could say it from this point forward. I suppose there's been maturity in the Kylie fan community for a start, and it was just so of the time. Like, it's so easy to forget the context. Early 2000s, the internet was still, it had been around for plenty of time, but it was finally starting to work. You could download stuff properly and all of that. So the proliferation of pop music and looking back, by the way, her back catalogue became quite, for the first time, renewed around this time because of the internet. Believe it or not, it was really not that easy to do before this time. Body language in the fan community, Leo, cynicism.
Yeah.
Easy to forget. You and I have spoken about body language specifically before, but cynicism. Oh, why is she making this shift? We don't mind the album, but why is she pandering? This really caused a little small seismic wave through the Kylie fan community with those on. It was basically you were in one camp or the other. You thought, yeah, this is stellar. This is where she should be going. This is the right move. This is clever. It's very American. But I was certainly in the opposite camp where it was like, God, you just had this huge success with Fever because you showed the world who Kylie was. And I was pumping my fist in the air going, see, you finally showed the whole world who Kylie was. You let them all in on the secret. And then you became someone that you're not with this funny sound. Doesn't mean I don't love the album Body Language. I just felt it was pandering. General public, yeah, she was still pop royalty around this time. If she went on any TV show around the world, it was like the one and only Kylie Minogue. Like, she was seen as a stalwart, a survivor. She was still seen as huge in the pop world. So it certainly wasn't a damaging period in my opinion. But from the fan community, it was a very interesting time. One of much debate, Leo.
Yeah, this era for me, as you said before, with Fever, because Can't Get You Out of My Head was so massive worldwide, the US had no choice really but to embrace it because the whole world embraced it. So, and that led to her taking the album Fever to the US. Didn't change anything. It was the album that the rest of the world got. I think they got a couple of extra tracks.
Well, yeah, Love at First Sight. That for some bizarre reason they remixed that
Yeah,
with the
but
American audience.
largely it was an album which was a Kylie album, and that worked, And I think by doing this album, I think it was too much. Okay, I've had a bit of US success. Let me try and just change the sound to a more US sound in some of the tracks. I think had she had not done that, I think this album would have been more successful. But the lead single, Slow, was fantastic. A number one hit in Australia.
Reminds me of Confide in Me.
Yeah.
In that the lead single didn't represent the
Yeah,
album.
it didn't. And number one in the UK, top 10 in New Zealand. So again, it was a really successful start. I remember visiting my parents in Auckland during this time, and I heard Red Blooded Woman on the radio so much in Auckland, and it reached number 19 in the chart. So that was a really successful single in New Zealand, not only on the charts, but also on radio. Radio actually played it. So I guess having that more of an urban sound, which New Zealand sort of favours much these days. So I guess that sort of worked in some territories, but she really plugged this album worldwide. Like, there's so many clips on YouTube and stuff, especially performing the second single. She was everywhere across Europe, and it did pretty well as a second single. So, but for me, this album, I do like the album. There's some really good tracks on it, some really strong tracks on it, but there's also a few which are not really fussed on. But again, when you're an artist, you need to sort of change, because if you keep doing the same thing all the time, people get a bit bored, and your career just sort of stagnates, So, and a career shouldn't all be all ups. It needs to be that ups and downs, because you need to experience those lows and those lulls to experience the highs, and that's really important for an artist.
Yeah. Well, and it's not the right podcast, and I don't want to segue too much, but I am going to say this. This fever/body language transition is so relevant today. It truly is. And there's no question in my mind that Kylie herself and Kylie, her team, would be drawing on the lessons learned, because right now she's on a huge high with tension. The next step, what does she do? Right. So she's got to make it. It's interesting. You either continue that success or even build on it in the United States, or you do what she did back in this era and you, what I call pander, and produce music that you think is what people want and make a big mistake. So I really think that the lessons learned from Fever to Body Language are going to be learnt here in 2025/6. But I digress, because that is not the purpose. We're down to the final album of this era's podcast, which is X, Leo. So I'm going to let you go first. And remembering the general perception from the fan community and the general perception from the public.
I remember this album being, because this was the first one after her breast cancer diagnosis. This was the album which, people, I think, were expecting a more sort of a mellow type of an album, reflective, what she's been through. But it wasn't really. There was a couple of songs which touched on that, but largely this was again a step forward, and she worked with people which in the future would go on to be this massive success. Calvin Harris is one. He was just like a unknown at this time. But he went on to have this massive success with other artists, but Kylie went with him first. So again, she was breaking ground with this album and also with this tour as well. I really feel that the album and the tour was just incredible. I remember being front row on the tour, and these songs just come to life on stage. So it was just amazing. But I think the general public were expecting something else, but got this, but were still happy they got this. If that makes sense. So the album did really well in Australia, number 1, number 4 in the UK. So not as good in the UK. But I mean, the first single I remember hearing at work, actually, Two Hearts. And I remember they played it on radio for the first time, and I was actually at working, so I logged off and listened to it, and loved loved the song. When I saw the video, it's just really sort of, you know, edgy and stuff, and really sort of a bit dark and everything. So this was another number 1 single in Australia, but it wasn't an amazing lead single, but it did the job. Wow and In My Arms were probably more sort of radio friendly type of singles. Didn't do as well on the charts, but I think, yeah, but All I See and the one was just incredible. That track should have been a single much earlier on in the run. But this album is a real mixed bag. It's a real mixed bag of different producers, and she's really experimenting with the sounds. And I think with this album, I think it works better when you see the show, the tour, because it really represented the album really, really well. And seeing the show, seeing the concert, think, oh, this is the songs just take it to that next level, you know. So for me, when I think of X, the album, I think of the show more, because I just love that whole production, the moving lights on the floor, and the staging was just incredible, and the costumes. Yeah, I love this tour more than the album, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, from the fan community perspective, this was just relief. And what really struck me is how quickly we just fell back into, you know, she's been so sick and she'd been away for so long. And for the fans, I don't think it would have mattered what she delivered. We were just relieved to see her back. And again, I find it fascinating how quickly we fell right back into Kylie fan community, in that this should be the next single. Arguments in the fan community. No, no, she's made a mistake there. No, I want the one. Like, just for the bickering. And it was so much of a relief, Leo. All the time before, it had seemed like a bit tedious, but it was so enjoyable to be back in Kylie Kingdom, having ridiculous arguments about which single, the track order, the mysterious tracks that never made it to the album. This mystery 4 discs or whatever it was, 10 discs of unreleased demo. I loved it. We weren't worried about her anymore. She was fully back, and we were just fully back into our immature Kylie community selves. General public, though, totally different in this area. For me, at least, my view is that the general public were super curious about this Kylie return. and in a way looking for some sort of confirmation that she was okay as well. Maybe not as much as the fan community, but people want to know. People are a little bit morbidly fascinated. What will she look like? What will she sound like? What will this album be like? What will this first single be? And personally, I think they screwed it up royally by having Two Hearts as the lead single. The fact that it charted so well, despite the fact that it is really not lead material stuff. Great song, should not be a lead single. But the fact that it charted so well is the absolute testimony you need to prove that the general public were super curious to see what would come. So, and not representing the album either. But the general public had embraced her, were worried about her, and really curious. But I would argue that after that first flush of, is she back? Is she okay? Does she look different? Does she sound different? What's the vibe? My memory of living through that era is that the general public interest waned very quickly. It fizzed very quickly. She's okay. Oh, good. Yeah, she's making some music. Nothing flash. So that's why I think the rest of the campaign for X was exciting for the fans, but the general public just didn't resonate. And I agree with you entirely that the tour was a totally different story. Totally different story.
I think, yeah, with the general public point of view, it's almost like when they're doing the marketing for these campaigns, I think we've touched on this before, but it's almost like they throw everything early on and with nothing left for later on in the campaign.
Oh, totally. And no spoilers, but Aphrodite, hello, same thing, right? Like, why do they do it? Like, we're going to launch it. They don't seem to think beyond the first single.
Yeah, and that's why Two Hearts did so well, because it was, first single back from her breast cancer battle, and she looked great. The video was really edgy, but I don't know, but on the plus side, for a real fan, I have to say this era had some incredible B-sides, which I don't know about you, Tim, but I miss those B-sides so much.
Oh, yeah. King or Queen?
Oh, just, Cherry Bomb. There's just so many amazing B-sides from this era, and I really miss the B-sides. I mean, when you get singles from her website these days, it's just the single and the extended version. There's no extras, there's no B-sides, it's just quite minimal. I feel that if she still released B-sides, I think that'd be amazing, but it's a thing of the past, which I don't know. But I love my B-sides, and this era had some great B-sides, and yeah.
It did. It was a very, very interesting time to be a Kylie fan during the X era, because after we got over that relief, like you say, because of the mixed bag, it was, and then the Kylie show, and she really did look different. I don't care if that sounds rude. She looked really different. So it really felt like we'd turned the page into a new chapter. Now, Leo, we've got lots more eras to go, but we're leaving it at that point for now. What's it been like as a fan, ripping through the eras the way we just did?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster, up and down, which is great, because I think when you're a fan of an artist and they just release the same stuff all the time and they don't really change, it gets a bit boring, and that's why people sort of move on. But by changing things up, you are taking risks as an artist, and you are expanding your fan base. You're getting new fans on board, you're keeping the old ones. So it's a real tough balancing act, and going through these eras today is just testament as to what a survivor Kylie is. And she works incredibly hard. She knows sometimes she does go off track, but her true fans almost allow her to do that, which a lot of fans of artists do. Like, there's a lot of artists I like, and they've gone through big downers. And I remember with Mariah Carey, before she released The Emancipation of Mimi, I think, oh, she's over. I thought, no, she's going to come back stronger than ever. And she did. So I think the true fans embrace those downers more, because they know that they believe in this artist. They believe in Kylie. So she's gonna come back again. You know,
Whenever I do a retrospective of Kylie, it always strikes me, even though it shouldn't strike me, it shouldn't be a surprise at all, just how much her musical career is a reflection of her life at the period of time. So the early days, yep, she was manufactured, and you can see the tension between being manufactured and wanting to exercise her own autonomy. You can see when she, all the way through to X, where she was absolutely determined to return to what she did, because, as you said, a lot of people were expecting that introspective reflection on what she'd been through. Well, actually, Kylie's point of view was entirely different. No, I want to get back to where I was. I want to be a leader of pop. And so that's what she was determined to do. Very interesting. You can really tell where she is was in her life at any given time. Leo, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. For anyone listening who'd like to join us in part 2 of the Era's conversation, which is a really brief overview of how she was perceived in the general public and in the fan community during her eras, please get in touch. Time to Talk Australia at outlook.com. And Leo, where can people listen to you?
So I have a podcast called Sound Museum, and there's over, I think, 80 episodes online. I've done a few on Kylie. I've done, Mariah and Wham and Whitney Houston and all your favorites. So Sound Museum is my podcast. And over on my YouTube channel, I have also Sound Museum. It's a bit of a pet project. I've been given a videotape machine. So I've been going through my old videotapes, Tim, and I'm discovering some absolute gems. And I've been editing them, adjusting the sound and stuff, and putting them on my YouTube channel. There's heaps of throwback interviews and throwback moments, which I really hope people enjoy. I did a video yesterday, and it was the first, I think, interview she'd done to promote Spinning Around, and it was with Richard Wilkins on the Today Show. So I don't think that's online anywhere. So expect that on my YouTube channel soon. But there's throwback clips from like 1987, 88, 89. I've got like probably over 100 just waiting to go. So make sure you subscribe, because I'll be dropping a Kylie video probably once or twice a week, because I've got so many to sort of drop. So yeah, look out for that. But yeah, I'm a massive Kylie fan, and if you want to get involved, as Tim said, this next episode from Aphrodite until Tension is covering, I guess, the last few albums with Parlophone, and then she goes into her time with BMG. So it's a bit of an interesting time.
Oh, all interesting times. So the Sound Museum, if you want to find Leo, and thanks for all the work you do, Leo, too, because honestly, you really do all that dusting off of the old archived footage, and I see plenty of them, and I go, and I've seen mostly everything, but you put up some stuff, and I go, I honestly somehow have never seen this. It's amazing. Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Tim.